Good evening. Welcome to this pre-camp leaders meeting. My name is Sven Gilkey. I'm the camp director for Fire Mountain Scout Camp. This is Jolynn, our director of fun, our camp program director. This evening we are recording this webinar for the future of anyone who wants to reference it later and whatnot. And so with that, I've kept videos and mics. We will be paying attention to the chat bubble as much as we can and addressing questions as they come up. So feel free to put any questions you might have this evening into the chat, and we'll kind of go from there. With that, I'm going to go ahead and take a minute and start our slideshow for the evening.
Oh, thank goodness.
Get started with that. Where you have.
Yes.
Director of fun must be fun. Just to make sure that someone can hear us, would somebody just type something into the chat so that I know that you guys can actually hear us this evening?
I can hear you.
Thank you, Julie.
No problem.
Yep, got it. Excellent. Okay. Well, at least 3 people can hear us. Okay. So with that, again, welcome to our program preview this evening. We're going to be talking about all of the fun and exciting things that are going to be taking place at Fire Mountain this summer, and hopefully answering some of your questions and giving you a timeline over the next couple of months of stuff that's happening to get ready for camp and rolling out our program for this summer, and some of the important steps that you as unit leaders are going to need to be involved in to help your scouts be fully prepared to take full advantage of Scout BSA Resident Camp Fire Mountain this summer. So with that, the first thing I wanted to share is that we do have our program guide. And I'm going to show you where to find the program guide here in just a second. I'm going to share where that is on our website so you can all pull it down and peruse it at your leisure. But one of the things that I wanted to share, I've already shared this a little bit with previous communications, but we had been developing our program for this summer using last year's COVID-19 response plans that the state of Washington had put out, which required, amongst other things, a cohort model, which would have had groups of scouts doing merit badges together as a cohort, moving around. So much less individual choice and more kind of group think as far as what programs you're going to do and how that worked. About a month ago, we got word, official word from the state of Washington that with new revised guidelines, and so Jolynn and I kind of quickly threw most of what we were working on out the window and started pulling things out of our 2019 program guide and going through and trying to blend elements from our 2021 program and our 2019 because this summer we are looking at providing a program that looks much more pre-COVID than during pandemic kind of phase. So your scouts will be able to sign up for merit badges and participate in them just as they did before, where we asked that ideally they do so as buddies. So they're moving around camp in a buddy group, but not as a full cohort and things like that. So like I said, very much similar to what many of us experienced pre-COVID. So with that, I'm going to take just a brief moment and I'm going to stop sharing this. And I'm going to instead share my internet browser so you can see. So this is mountbakerbsa.org/camps. This is a list of all of the different programs that we offer at Fire Mountain Scout Camp, things like that. What we want to do is, no, they can, it should be seeing this now. You want to click on the Fire Mountain Scout Camp, Scout BSA Resident Camp page. And that will take you here. Many of you have probably, this is where you kind of started your journey. And what you want to do is make your reservation today. This takes you to the Scouting 24/7 Scouting Events page where you originally registered for camp. And this is where we have all of our official documents and whatnot. And there are 2 documents that we added today to this attachments list. The first one is the 2022 program guide, and the second is the pre-camp swim test, which Jolynn will talk about in a little bit. But the leader's guide is a PDF file. Oh, that's the camp guide. Never mind, leader's guide. We want the program guide. Here we go. So this is the program guide posted today. I will be very honest with you that first, like I said, I pulled much of this from the 2021 and 2019 booklets. So I did my best to read through and double check that I wasn't putting out of date information, but general information is what I want to do. So as I discover things that I missed, never mind my bad spelling, I promise I will be updating and revising this as needed and posting those changes when up. But the meat and bones of what's in this guide should be solid. So I apologize for any outdated information or bad dates that I might have missed. But I will let you download and peruse this at your leisure. Let's see here, share. We want to go back to, here we go. So stop it. Technology, gotta love it. Okay. So okay, so now Jolene, talk to us about merit badges. I'm sure this is something that many folks on the call tonight are anxiously await, so that we don't want to hold you in suspense any longer talking about merit badges.
We have one.
One merit badge,
No.
but it's a good one.
So if you, as you guys go through your program guide, the list of merit badges that we are offering come down into the handicraft area, nature, aquatics, shooting, outdoor skills, and then we also have our special programs, which include coping climbing pathfinders and for tenderfoot, second class and first class. So we have a bunch of those there that you can come down when you look at your program guide that we will be offering. How in detail do you want me to get?
So they can definitely look at the list, but what we do want to cover is we want to make sure that we talk about
Cost.
so cost. We do have estimated costs for some of the badges listed here.
So some for instance on cost will be basketry, leather working, wood carving, and space exploration for the rockets. In shooting sports, we have archery, rifle shooting, and shotgun, ranging from $5 to $30, depending on which one they are going, which merit badge they are going for. Shotgun is the one that's going to be the most expensive at the $30. But those are pretty much the ones that are going to have costs. We also are going back, we're stepping back to minimum age requirements. For certain ones, for instance, life saving is going to be above 13 years old. Small boat sailing will also be above 13 years old. Shotgun, it was just funny stories. We had a couple 11-year-olds who tried shotgun last year, and it was hard. So we've also put an age requirement on those. But again, all of this information is actually at your fingertips in the program guide.
So two questions that popped up on the chat bubble was the first one: how firm are our age limits for things like cope? So we're going to be absolutely firm on age restrictions as defined by the BSA. So no, we won't put a Cub Scout through cope, high cope, because that's against the Guide to Safe Scouting. But a lot of the age restrictions that we put on things have a lot to do with the type of group that we have in the class. What I would recommend for things like cope is that if you have a 12 or 13-year-old that really wants to do cope, is sign them up for other things like that. But we will be doing a merit badge swap event on Sunday evening. And if there is availability in the cope, maybe we can swap them out of the merit badge into the cope based on what that class is like. But what I don't want to do is put a 11, 12, or 13-year-old into cope when there are 14, 15, 16-year-olds who want to do cope, because they're part of the age restrictions that we're trying to go for is to create a tier system where there's older scout programs, younger scout programs. If we open all of our programs to the youngest age bracket at camp, then there's nothing to look forward to at those older age points. And so
I would also like to touch on that specific question myself. The other thing with that is, especially with the COPE age requirement, we're looking at maturity, because as a group, they have to go through a bunch of lower COPE stuff, and as they start working together, then they earn the right to go up into high COPE, and we've found that a lot of the younger ones have a hard time with that maturity level.
So next question was, will there be any prerequisites? There actually are prerequisites listed in the program guide for a number of the merit badges. I will say, so with specific requirements that are prerequisited for those merit badges. The biggest one is emergency preparedness, because requirement 1 is that you must have the first aid merit badge before beginning emergency preparedness. So some of the prerequisites, if you don't have them done before you come to camp, it just means you're going to leave with a partial. But for example, emergency preparedness is a good example where the requirement says, if it says that you need to do it before starting the merit badge or before you do anything else in the merit badge, then that will be the requirement that we need to hold fast to. So Jolene's already noticing that we need to make some changes as far as prerequisites for some of the aquatics ones where it says must be a swimmer. So we need to update some of those, because you don't necessarily need to be a swimmer for all of those programs.
Right, yeah, but life-saving, they do need to have their swimming
Merit badge done.
before.
Yeah. So there's going to be some updates to that. And by the same token, I will, Stephen, you mentioned, are there ones that are going to be clearly marked as they won't be able to be finished at camp? I will make a point to mark those that you're going to leave camp as a partial. There's always those merit badges. The shooting sports tend to be ones where some scouts struggle getting into the Dimes Club, things like that, to meet qualifications. So we'll definitely work with scouts as much as we can to get them across the finish line. But if there are ones that there are just straight up requirements that we will not be able to do at Fire Mountain, I will clearly identify which ones those are, so that you know that there's just no way that they're gonna leave with a completed merit badge. But generally speaking, most of the merit badges we offer at Fire Mountain, within reason and skill and effort level from a scout, there's a high likelihood that they'd be able to complete any of the merit badges at camp. So okay, so one of the things that we wanted to do tonight that didn't quite work out is I wanted to actually show you how to sign up for a class through our registration system. It's all going to be through the same registration portal that you use to manage your payments and your attendance for camp. But what we will be doing is our class sign up list is going to be going live on June 1st. And what I'm going to be doing is sitting down with Stacy Roberts, who many of you have had an opportunity to correspond with or speak to on the phone. She's our camp secretary, so she handles a lot of the back end of our computer registration system and whatnot. She and I are going to sit down. We're going to record a how-to video on how to sign scouts up for these classes, merit badges, rank advancement, and other programs that require those signups. And so we will definitely be posting that here and making it available. I just want to take a look. Somebody dropped a Facebook link. You're going outside of follow the link. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Okay, so thank you for posting. Yeah, so you posted the link for the program guide. Thank you, Tiffany. Okay, and then lastly, Jolene, you want to talk about blue cards?
Depending on my mood. Okay, so blue cards are going to be, we are doing something new, something wild, something crazy. We are going to be handing out blue cards on Friday, so we don't have chaos and mayhem on Saturday morning when people are trying to leave and staff are trying to clean up and da 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 da. So Friday evening, if you look on the program guide, we will be handing out blue cards on Fridays in the evening. So the idea will be that you guys, as Scoutmasters or the adult leaders, will be able to take that opportunity to go through that night, make sure everything is up to par where we need to have it. Then we can come back and we can work together as a team and make sure that we are all on the same page. Do you want me to go ahead and hit into schedule or?
Yes, I think.
Okay.
Oh, wait, no, other programs next.
Oh, okay. So the other thing is you will be able to print out partials through the portal that you register in. But we will give your scouts who have completed the merit badge their blue cards. So you'll get completed merit badge cards, blue cards for the scouts that have completed everything. But you'll be able to download your partials online.
So the question that I'm responding to in the chapel, the question was, will individual families handle the registration, or will it be done by the Scoutmaster? I actually don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know the answer to that. That's what I need Stacy for. So it will be covered in the how-to video that'll go out before June 1st on how that sign up works. But it's going to be, like I said, through the registration. So I'm fairly certain it's going to be going through the Scoutmaster, which is also important because I think it's, if I recall right, the reason why it's set up that way is that that's our double check to make sure that Scoutmasters have given approval. As Jolyn just mentioned, where we use this online system for all of our blue card development, which means that you're not giving us a signed blue card, giving us permission to teach that merit badge to a particular scout, which is a requirement to begin any merit badge is Scoutmaster approval. So by doing it through the system, that's kind of our check to do that. But if it is done by parents, I'm fairly certain there's still a double check on that Scoutmasters are going to have to go through and actually submit it in that method. So, will there be assigned check-ins? We will be talking about check-in here in just a moment when we get to the camp schedule portion of the. Will camp end with an evening zip line? We'll cover that when we get to the schedule as well. So. Okay, so our other programs going through. So first off is Pathfinders. Pathfinders is our first year camper trail to first class, tenderfoot second class, first class rank requirements, classroom instruction, or not classroom, but outdoor instruction for that. But one of the things I really wanted to hit on with Pathfinders, there's more information in the guidebook, but with Pathfinders, in addition to scouts signing up to work on their requirements, is that we encourage Scoutmasters, assistant Scoutmasters that come to camp to come and help out in Pathfinders. It's always good to have some experienced scout leaders in the Pathfinders area to assist and work with that. And if you have new Scoutmasters, new assistant Scoutmasters coming to camp this summer that are looking to get their introduction to outdoor leader skills marked off, we developed the Pathfinders program specifically in such a way to meet those requirements for IOLS. So if you come and spend a portion of your week helping out in Pathfinders and you meet all of those requirements, by the end of the week, that adult will leave camp with a certificate saying that they have completed the Introduction to Outdoor Leader Skills training course, which in the Mount Baker Council is required for them to be rechartered in the position of Scoutmaster or Assistant Scoutmaster. So we would highly encourage any adults that don't have IOLS to come and help out in Pathfinders. We obviously offer our COPE and zipline programs. We do have a night zip program that we do on Friday evenings where all of the scouts in camp who want to go down the zip line in the dark with glow sticks and other goofy paraphernalia in the dark get to go screaming down the zip line and doing that. I actually find the zip line more horrifying in the day where I can actually see what's going on around me.
It's actually funny because a lot of the scouts that end up going down the zip line is at night because they don't see the bottom.
Yeah. But yes, we will be offering the night zip program. Carly, Jolene, do you want to talk about Polar Bear Swim?
Polar Bear Swim, yay! So Polar Bear Swim is going to be held, when we tentatively have that scheduled for Tuesday mornings, where our aquatic staff will get up nice and early and meet any troops that want to go down and jump in a lake. Sing songs, do a funny dance. And we do, yeah, so polar bear swim is a long-standing tradition. I have done it once and that was enough for me. But it is, yes, check the box, did that. So the Cultist Games, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the Cultist Games. So Cultist Games and Lake Challenge are two of Fire Mountain's oldest traditions. They traditionally take place on Friday afternoon, which they will be again this year. Last year with COVID, we did these programs a little differently. This year, we're looking to return to many of those traditions for these programs. With Cultist Games, these are competitive games where patrols or small troops move around doing different stations and games and activities. What we are doing a little differently with the Cultist Games this year is that your senior patrol leaders will be involved in the planning of the Cultist Games. So based on the size of your troop and how many patrols you field for camp, the senior patrol leader will present a certain number of games and whatnot that your troop will help facilitate. And so your senior patrol leader will work with you as the adult leadership to find the appropriate number of adults to run those games, but it'll be mostly organized by the senior patrol leaders, but executed by adults. And what this does is it frees up Jolynn and many of our program staff during a critical portion of Friday afternoon to meet with you as scoutmasters to check those blue cards, make sure that they're correct, and make sure that you're leaving with pristine advancement records for your scouts. And so, like I said, the Cultist Games is going to be overseen by our head commissioner, working with your senior patrol leaders in that regard. And like I said, it serves a double focus. One is it gives an opportunity for your youth leaders to practice some of their youth leadership skills, working with other youth leaders throughout the camp program, as well as giving our staff the opportunity, some flexibility to work with you to make sure that the paperwork is done right. Because on Saturday morning, what we've discovered is you're in a hurry to get out, we're in a hurry to get out, and the result is with all that hurry, blue cards are missed, signatures are missed, things don't get done the way we want to, and sometimes it's weeks, months before we find those mistakes, and we want to catch them early and catch them often. So if there are any issues, we get those knocked out right in that. Lake Challenge. So Lake Challenge is going to be back. Woohoo! So it's going to be an obstacle course that is designed to utilize all of our or a lot of our program areas around the lake, where we're going to be doing some boating, some swimming, some biking, and some running. And you will not see me doing any running. None. Zero. But we will the Lake Challenge again is has, as Fen said, is a long-stand tradition, and we are excited to bring it back. And it's your patrol or your troops form teams, and it's a relay race all the way around the lake.
Okay, and something so that both the Cultist Games and Lake Challenge come with certain bragging rights Friday evening. I will mention specifically for the Cultist Games, the winner of the Cultist Games, like I said, these are a competitive series of scouting Olympics. And the winner of the Cultist Games is presented for the evening the prized Cultist chicken, which is quite possibly one of the ugliest stuffed animals on the planet after years of scouts loving this chicken and covering it with signatures and neckerchiefs and everything else.
It has a tiara.
It had a tiara. So the chicken has seen many scouts pass from many unit to many unit, winners of the Cultist Games. But with that, they also win the right to eat dinner at the world famous Fire Mountain Chicken Barbecue dinner. They get to eat first. So like I said, these traditions are a lot of fun. One of our newer traditions started recently is the Mountaineer program, and this is a recognition of veteran Fire Mountain campers. I believe last year was the first year that we really rolled it out and did it. So this will be year 2, and the program, the way it works is each of the year's programs are named after one of the highest peaks in Washington State. And so every year, different requirements need to be met. So not the requirements don't change every year. Based on the number of years you're coming, it's slightly different. So the first year campers this year will do the same program that was done last year, whereas any returning campers that we have this summer will have a different program placed before them to earn their second pin for the Mountaineer program. So we're looking forward to rolling year 2 of that out and continuing the tradition of the Mountaineer program. So now we're going to talk about the overview of the week. And for this, Jolynn has the schedule about this. So all of you can see it. I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to share the program guide and go down to the schedule while Jolynn talks us through a week at Fire Mountain Scout Camp. And this is near the end of the guide. Here we go. Hopefully we can all see this, and I'm going to make sure that I can see the chat bubble as well. And so Jolynn, talk to us about a week at Fire Mountain Scout Camp.
Welcome to camp. So Sunday, we will be opening our gates at 1 p.m. and it was asked earlier about if we're going to stagger arrivals. We are, but it's not going to be as large of a gap. We're bringing it back down. We found out last year, even though this was a COVID protocol, that we were able to meet our troops more individually, one-on-one. We didn't have like this mass chaos coming into camp. So we found that troops were happier, staff were able to meet their troops easier. There was no lollygagging, trying or waiting for people to come in, go out, that type of thing. So yes, we will have a smaller stagger, but yes, we're going to still have a stagger time. And you will be receiving that information after
probably once the staff actually are at camp. So probably the end of June, during our staff week, we'll put together our full staggered schedule and send out those times for you. But as Jolynn says, they're not going to be, it's not going to be hugely, hopefully inconvenient. We're going to be wanting a constant flow into camp.
Right.
But,
and so if you arrive 15 minutes early, it's not going to be a heartache.
Yeah.
It's more of, we want to make sure that all the troops have that individual attention that they really enjoyed last year.
And with that is, the point isn't necessarily to say that you can't show up to camp. It's that you're going to be given a specific time when your scouts will start marching into camp. And so if you want to show up even half an hour early, get everything out of your vehicles, get the packs on the kids, and then sit there for a few minutes, just kind of collecting your thoughts, making sure that everything, make sure all the paperwork is good to go and everything before, so that right at your designated time, you're ready to start walking into camp. All the power to you. But
I would skip.
So I would not skip. My knees are not in that kind of shape. But so Jill, so we do have the staggered arrival. So after we've got check-in, they've done their swim tests. Speaking of swim tests, I mentioned earlier pre-camp swim tests. How's that going to work?
Yes, pre-camp swim tests. We have provided a hot link within the program guide. Do you know where that?
It was not in the program. It was on the registration.
A registration. So there's a hot link for the pre-camp swim check. You can take this to a pool, and as long as there is a certified BSA lifeguard or a certified Red Cross lifeguard, and they have access to the swim check, they are more than welcome to perform that before they come to camp. So that is available to you. One caveat to that is if there's any questions at camp about a scout swimming ability, our director does have the ability to retest if need be.
Okay, so we've got they've done their swim checks, they've done the tours, they're all checked in. We've crossed the T's, dotted the I's, made sure that everything's paid for as far as registration for camp goes. And so now we're going to be eating out of the dining hall in family style again, which means sending stewards to the dining hall to prep your meal tables. This is going to be one of the areas that we will be having some COVID requirements in place, where you will have designated tables. We're going to stagger is maybe a little bit of a hard word, but we're not going to have a big giant line of human bodies pushing their way into the dining hall. You're going to be dismissed into the dining hall. You're going to go with a little bit of social distancing, enter and sit. For those of you who have been up to Fire Mountain over the last 6 months or so, you know that we have a new massive picnic shelter right outside the dining hall. So some of our troops will be designated tables out under Janicki shelter as their dining area. And so this will allow us to have a little bit more space and whatnot. But part of that critical thing is having designated stewards that are showing up to meals to prep for those type of things. So is the pre-camp swim check for adults as well as scouts?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Anyone who's coming to camp that wants to swim. The other critical part of that's going to be double checked with this is, in order to get a swim tag, you need 2 things. You can do this form, but you also need to make sure that you have a Part C medical form on hand with us as well.
Yes,
and so if you have adults that are maybe only coming for 1 or 2 days, and so they're only turning in Part A and B, they won't be issued a buddy tag. So that's something to keep in mind as well, is if you do have people who may be coming into camp that want to swim and whatnot, do the swim test, that's fantastic. Make sure that they also have a Part C of the medical form. For the mile swim, is there any age requirements for this, or does the scout just need to be a proficient swimmer?
So the way the mile swim is, it's a productive or not productive, continuing progression through the week. So the first couple of days will be they will be swimming in the our swimmer area, and then they will have an open water test to make sure that they don't panic in open water. And then on Friday, when we do the mile swim, they will be able to do a mile swim. But in order to do the mile swim, they absolutely have to complete all of the progression. We cannot skip. This is not a Fire Mountain policy. This is a national policy.
Moving through the evening on Sunday, so we've got our Scoutmaster Senior Patrol Leader meeting where we're gonna hopefully get everyone together and make sure that everyone's gotten to their campsite all right, address any questions now that we're all home at camp together. And then at 7:30 on Sunday, like I mentioned earlier, we'll have that merit badge schedule shuffle time. This is, so ideally 99.9% of everything will be scheduled before you get to camp. But you know, there's always those kids who they're in the car and they're rethinking what they want to do when they get to camp, or they show up and they see the lake for the first time, or they pass their swim test and they didn't think that they were going to get to pass their swim test. They did, you know, they surprise themselves. So they're ready to take a merit badge or an activity that they weren't planning on doing. This is the opportunity for them to do some of that swapping. So working with our staff to make those adjustments to their schedule. And
we have a really good time at the shuffle. You'll notice that a lot of the areas take pride and, you know, will have decorations and that sort of thing. And so, yeah, we have a good time at the shuffle. And, you know, because, you know, certain areas might be a little prideful.
Okay, so question is, so on Wednesday night we're doing dinner in the campsites. We don't have the menu for that nailed down entirely. You know, the traditional meal in the campsite is the hobo dinner in the aluminum foil, or a stew, something kind of, you know, super simple, but we haven't really nailed it down yet. I think there's going to be a couple of different, not necessarily options, but there's going to be, I want to develop a menu for that evening that's really flexible so that your unit can either keep it really simple or go chef on us and just make something really special.
But if you go chef on us, we want to be there.
Yeah. So,
please invite Sven and Joel.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but yeah, so we will definitely share what that menu is going to look like. In fact, I'm looking to hopefully share the entire week's menu with you as leaders before you get to camp, in either an email or one of our pre-camp leaders meetings that we would do. let's see here. Okay, so yes, and so by the same token, with that flexibility would be vegetarian options, and also being able to pick out ingredients that so that if you had scouts that had issues with gluten or other things like that, the ingredients would be easy enough for you to model a meal around their needs. So
that does bring up a really good point. Make sure that if there are meal restrictions, vegetarian, vegan, all of that, give us a good heads up beforehand. There is the form that we see beforehand, but make sure it is up to date as best as possible for all your leadership and your scouts, because the last thing we want to do is make anyone feel like that they can't eat. Your scouts are burning calories like crazy. We need to keep them fed and healthy.
So I will make a comment about so for vegetarian and vegan to a certain extent, we work really hard to try to make sure that our kitchen can produce gluten-free and a few other options as much as we can, especially safely for kids. There are some kids who are just so sensitive to gluten allergies and like that I can't promise 100% in our kitchen. It's just our kitchen is 50 years old, and it's not designed to completely separate foods the way that it would need to be for some of those scouts. And so I want to clearly communicate what's going on in what's going into menus and things like that. But for vegan and vegetarian, there are going to like I said, I want to communicate what the menu is so that you can see the menu and say and as Jillian just said, calories is a really important critical part of every scout and adults needs at camp. But part of those calories, part of that intake and protein intake is meat. That's a critical part of what our dietitian works with us on in developing for it. And so when we take the meat out of something, what we're doing is also stripping key parts of protein, key parts of calorie counting. And so for vegetarians and vegans coming, they're going to want to look at the menu and realize, okay, I'm losing this, and this from the meal. Is that going to give me the calories that I need for that? And possibly substitute it with some other things that they either bring with themselves or like looking at the menu, knowing that you need to build up a little bit more on your plate in certain other areas. And that's something we can definitely work with you on. But like I said, we build our menu based around primarily providing those calories and protein points for teenage kids, which is another thing is I am not a teenager anymore. Jolynn is not a teenager anymore. We have kids that are teenagers, and we want to make sure that and so our goal is that our teenage scouts, when they come, they are machines. They need the fuel. They need a lot of fuel. It's not my favorite food. It's not Jolynn's favorite food. It might not necessarily even be your scout's favorite food, but they will get plenty of it, and they will get a lot of it so that they can keep their machine going, as it were. And that's my number one focus is quantity. Obviously, I want to make sure quality is also there. I do enjoy eating, obviously, but that said, when it comes to the camp menu, the number one thing is that we're getting the quantity of calories so that our kids have the fuel to go through the day.
And if you have dietary restrictions, please feel free to reach out to us, individually, so that we can work with you and your troop.
Yep. So, okay. Jolynn, will you talk to us a little bit about the merit badge sessions? So
Absolutely.
we've got all these big blocks of time on the schedule. Talk to us about what this looks like.
So what we are doing is we want to provide each scout, if they're not in the Pathfinder program, 4 opportunities to earn merit badges. And along those lines, even our Pathfinders, have that opportunity to earn a couple of merit badges also. So each day, Monday, Tuesday in the morning, you will have the opportunity to earn your first Monday, Tuesday from 9:15 to 10:30 is going to be your first merit badge session. And that is that chunk of time is actually there to in hopes that they will earn that merit badge. Then the same thing on Wednesday, Thursday. So 4 opportunities, Monday, Tuesday, and then in the afternoon, 1 to 2, 2:45 is session 2. That's another merit badge. Wednesday, Thursday, session 3. That is the 3rd merit badge. And then session 4 is the 4th merit badge. We have allotted the time so that it's a larger chunk of time during a day instead of a smaller chunk of days spread out the whole entire week. And so that breaks up their week a little bit more.
We found that a lot of scouts were spending a huge amount of time getting to and from classes. There's always those, 5-10 minutes at the beginning of a class where, you got to calm the scouts down, get into the zone for what they're learning and whatnot. And so during the course of a week, you're losing a lot of educational experience because of those kind of breaks and things like that. And so by concentrating on a merit badge for a longer period of time with these blocks, we're hoping that your scouts will have a deeper time in being immersed into those merit badges.
Right, and along with that, when there's certain merit badges when you're in the water or on the ranges, that type of thing, you don't want to stop once the scout is in the groove. We want them to continue on.
So it looks like we've discovered one of my typos on the schedule. So it says merit badge session 2, merit badge session 2. There's no merit badge session 1 or 3 on here.
1.
What am I looking
2.
at? Oh, never mind. I'm looking at weird things. So no,
3.
we're not offering 2 merit badges per session. That was the question. I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question. So merit badge. So during merit badge session 1, we're only we're off. You would take 1 merit badge, and then during session 2, you take 1 merit badge. So theoretically, you would take 4 merit badges over the course of the week. Now that said, when you look at some merit badges do require a sign up for 2 sessions. These are very time intensive and whatnot, and so they might do merit badge session 1 and 3 or 1 and 2. We'll look at how the system wants to set up for those type of classes, but again, yeah, you'll want to work with your scouts to realize that, like I said, some of these merit badges, they're going to want more than 1 session in order to get the completion. COPE is another example. When they do the full COPE course, it's going to be multiple sessions in order to get through that experience.
Open program.
Yes, in the later afternoon before dinner.
So after the session, let's face it, the scouts want to walk away and go have some fun. And so all of our programs will have evening opportunities. The swim beach will be open, the boating beach will be open, our ranges will be open. And so those opportunities are available.
So the question is, where does the Pathfinder program fit into the sessions?
So the Pathfinders usually operate either morning or afternoon session. It usually takes 2 sessions. So it's usually, depending on what your scout needs to earn. So it will usually operate Monday through Thursday in the mornings, and then they would have the afternoon to go and take a couple of merit badges, or vice versa. They will also operate in the afternoon, and the first year scouts can take a couple of merit badges in the morning.
So hopefully that makes sense. But the Pathfinders is think about the different ranks and things like that as like merit badges. You're going to sign up for a chunk of time to work on rank advancement. If you're already a second class scout and you're working primarily on first class stuff, you're probably going to need less time, less session time to do that, and so you'll be that'll free up. But your first year, brand new, just crossed over from Webelos, scouts are probably going to want to pour in 2, maybe even 3 sessions worth of Pathfinders to get as much rank advancement knocked out of the way. Maybe only taking 1 merit badge, kind of depends.
And Chris Chris Antelek is the leader, has over the years really poured his heart and soul, and this is a phenomenal program that he has developed over the years, and Fire Mountain is pretty proud of it. And if you have first year scouts, I highly recommend that you get them in there. He has them all over camp. You guys are not just going to be stuck in one area. He has you guys all over camp, and doing first aid and hauling people around, and it's hysterical and it's fun, and the kids are having a blast.
Okay, had a question. Will there be a final draft schedule for our scouts? Not sure if you mean a schedule for their personal schedule, in which case, yes, that will get locked in a couple of days before they come to camp. In fact, one of the things on the check-in sheet, or one of the things that we ask you to bring to camp with you is a 2 copies of your scouts' schedules for every one of your scouts. One is for them and one of them is for you, so you know where they are all the time. But
you have to keep track of them.
But we do lock down those schedules a couple of days before. That way we know where that way, the day before you come to camp, you're not moving a bunch of kids around, and we'd rather wait and do that on Sunday evening with us, instead, so that we can properly prepare and deal with those changes as we need them. But like I said, you will have those, you'll be able to bring those to camp with you.
Then in the evening times, the last your campsite will be assigned a date that they get to come down and go down our zip line. And so Monday through Thursday, you'll be assigned, your campsite will be assigned a day. You go down there, they gear you up, and your scouts get to go down. Quick caveat on that is there is a weight limit. If the wind is blowing, the weight limit might even be heavier, because we don't want scouts to get, it's more of a safety issue for our staff. They'll be fine. It's our staff who has to go out and grab them and bring them back in. But just so you know, there is a weight limit. And no, you cannot put rocks in their pockets. And no, you can, weights and all that. They'll just have to wait till the following year. But yes, so our zip line will be open per campsite. And then on Friday, guess what we get to do on Friday, Sven?
Eat green eggs and ham?
No, we get to eat chicken. So we have chicken. My apologies, I had said evening beforehand because I had it slotted earlier in the evening. But so Friday morning, you guys get to pick up blue cards. We have the cultist games being run also. This is also the time we will be swimming the mile that afternoon. Later on in the afternoon, we have the Lake Challenge, and then we have the world famous chicken dinner. Yay! And then we have our closing campfire, which is going to be, you guys are going to be putting on, because frankly, the staff wants to sit and watch. And so you guys will be putting on the campfire. And that's something we'll go over with the SPLs during the meetings, is, having those checked out throughout the week and making sure that they are appropriate skits. And then after closing campfire, during campfire, we will announce the time that you guys get to do night zip, because the staff loves to stay up till 3 in the morning and zip you guys down.
So as Jolyn just mentioned, so we, for lack of a better term, we pick units out of a hat to figure out the order of who does the night zip in a particular order. And so it's fairly random on how, you know, so it's kind of a game of chance figuring out, are you going to be doing it at 10 o'clock or are you going to be doing it at 2 in the morning? But as Jolyn also mentioned, the staff really do have a lot of fun doing the night zip. And they really do enjoy doing it. So it's not a question of if you will get to go down during the night zip. The only hang up on doing the night zip for a scout is, again, that weight requirement. Because especially they're in the dark, if a scout can't make it all the way down, our staff have to go out and pull them down to the landing point, which in the dark is even more unsafe. So we really want to, for the night zip, really want to focus on making sure that it's safe for everybody. But we're there until we're done. If that's 3 in the morning, it usually isn't 3 in the morning. We're usually pretty Johnny in the spot moving things along, but we'll roll with whatever. It depends on how many underweight scouts slip by and we have to go out and rescue. Okay, so we had a couple questions about the order of the arrow. Also with you, what is? Okay, so we have. Oh, if they want to do Brotherhood Walk, and they want to do the mile swim.
It's going to be a choice.
So yeah, they're gonna need to make a decision. I personally, I would strongly suggest that they do the mile swim because that's something that they can do, generally speaking, only at camp.
Yep.
Whereas the Brotherhood ceremony would be something that they would be able to do at other OA functions throughout the year. But that would be a choice that they need to make. So with the OA meetups, as you can see on the schedule, we do have we do have a Brotherhood walk, which means we will be working to do Brotherhood ceremonies each week. The lodge is looking at a couple of different weeks that we have a significant number of Mount Baker Council troops in camp. We have over almost 100 scouts being called out for membership in the Order of the Arrow this summer. So there is a possibility of conducting an ordeal during an induction process during camp. It is in no way, shape, or form a requirement for a possible inductee to do it at camp. And that's going to be another choice, because if they do ordeal at camp, they're going to be giving up a period of time of other programs, other opportunities to do things at camp. That's going to be a choice for them. But we want to be, if there's a week where we've got a lot of Mount Baker Council units in camp where we could potentially do that, we want to be able to offer that as a possible program as well.
I know the answer to that one.
Approximately how many scouts attend each week?
Lots.
So our running of our 5 weeks of Scout BSA resident camp, our current registration numbers show us at about 230 for 4 of the 5 weeks. We initially capped registration at 200. So some of you over the last few weeks have been asking for us to admit more scouts. So we've been having you waitlist them, and then we've been adding them into the rolls. The last week 5, I think we're at 170 ish scouts currently registered. That said, those numbers are still a little bit soft, because there are also some of you have spoken to me in the last couple of weeks about the fact that you still have some scouts on the fence about coming to camp or not. So those final payments are due May 15th, and I would expect those numbers to firm up after on or around May 15th, as units really either have to commit those scouts or decide to yank their names. So that's kind of where we're at as far as registration goes. I will say that week 1 of camp, we're currently at 249, and I will not go above 250. I hate turning kids away from coming to camp, but what we've discovered for our staff and for our camp is that when we get to a certain point, we could definitely house 300, 400. We've even housed up to 1,000 scouts on property for an encampment. But without adding additional staff, without increasing the size of our staff, the quality of program starts being affected. It might, 252, 253, the quality is only marginally affected. It's just a very slight 260, 270, we start noticing it a little bit more and more. But it's one of those things where for maximum level of program, we aim at 250, and with some very rare exceptions, I try not to go above that for that number. So let's see here. What is the wilderness survival specific date? So that is going to be when they're going out Thursday night for wilderness survival. Is the night that all of the scouts who take wilderness survival during any of the sessions, all of the kids that take wilderness survival will do their night out on Thursday evening. And they'll probably leave sometime around 8:30, 9 o'clock. They would probably still be able to do the OA campfire and Brotherhood that evening if they wanted to, and then leave after that.
I'm gonna sleep in my own bed.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Let's see here. Guesstimated weight limit for zip line.
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah, go for it.
So so we flex, basic weight limit is 75 pounds. Between 65 and 75 pounds is our window. If it's windy, we go closer to 75 to 80 pounds. If the lake is glass, we can send down a 65 pound.
Question was to indicate which merit badges are going to be partials. As I mentioned earlier, I will be revising the merit badge list in the guide to indicate which ones there's a high likelihood of leaving camp with a partial for the merit badge. I'll also make a note specifically outlining which ones we advise you to sign up for 2 sessions or that are required to have 2 sessions. Climbing is one that comes to mind. That's almost always 2 sessions because it's next to impossible to get climbing merit badge done in even 2.5, 3 hours. So that'll be a 2 session one. COPE is another one, not a merit badge, but one that takes multiple sessions. But I will be revising the merit badge count, the merit badge list to specifically outline which ones you're more likely to see partials leaving camp. Let's see here. Anything else on the schedule? So we've got closing campfire Friday, and then Saturday morning we've got checkout and departure, and that's pretty much the week. Jolynn really wants to show off this really cool patch.
Well, because what year is it?
It is. So for those of you who don't know, I'd be surprised if you didn't already know this, but
if you live under a rock.
Yeah, if you live under, in case you have for one reason or another been living under a rock, 2022 represents the 50th year of operation of Fire Mountain Scout Camp.
Everyone clap. Everyone clap.
There was much applause, much rejoicing. Now there have been years such as 2020 where we did not operate during the summer, but even in those years, there was a lot of work that went into those years, and we used Fire Mountain as a facility throughout the year. And so we're very proud of Fire Mountain, not only for the mud and dirt that it is, but also the place itself as our home, and that it's a place in our heart. And so we're very, very proud of Fire Mountain. We're very proud that it's our 50th anniversary, and to celebrate with that, there is a lot of stuff. But Jolynn, show us this really awesome back patch.
So this is the 50th anniversary back patch, and there was only 100 made, and about half of them have been sold. But as you can see on the very bottom, they are numbered from 1 to 100, and a couple of them are going into the auction. If you were here, there's two patches. This was our last year's patch, and this is this year's patch. If you know, 50th anniversary last year was celebrated due to with the fact that that's when the property was purchased. This is the side that represents the future, and so we get 2 years of celebration. These are available for sale, just so you know. And I just wanted, because I pushed and pushed really, this is what I really wanted to have made. And so I am just wanted to show these off, and they are numbered. Also, you will be able to buy the tea. And if you came to camp last year, you should have gotten this patch. And if you come to camp this year, you'll be getting this patch. And so so you will still get the back patch thingy.
And just so looking at the back, you can see this is a solid piece of embroidery and twill. And so, like Jolyn said, the T piece would be these cut out and separated from it as separate patches. So for my 2 cents, I really want the T piece with the 2 pieces to it. But
well, I got number 2 myself, and then I got number 89 for the first year I worked at Fire Mountain.
And I got number 12 for the first year I worked at Fire Mountain. So old. I didn't say that.
You implied it.
I implied it. This is true. Houston, we have a problem.
But along those same things, in our trading post, we will have a plethora, that's the right word, plethora of 50th anniversary stuff, and from all scales, from a couple of dollars all the way up to 50 of different things that we will have for sale.
Okay, so
hi.
Yeah, hello. We're looking at a television. We can now see ourselves because I stopped sharing the screen.
I didn't like
yeah, she keeps looking at she likes like a goldfish. She likes to see herself in the reflection. The question that came in was about families and Friday night. It is our intention to have camp open on Friday evenings for families to come out for a family night and participate in the world famous Fire Mountain chicken flipping dinner. That said, that is one of the areas under the COVID mitigation requirements for youth camps that the state of Washington put out that's, let's call it a little fuzzy. And that's where I'm working with the Washington State Camp Coalition to get some clarification about how open or closed our facility needs to be during operation. There are very strict rules about under what circumstances the staff are allowed to leave the property and when they're allowed to come back onto the property. There are not as many rules about campers or families or visitors and things like that. And so I think there's going to be a lot of flexibility in regards to having family come out and visit us during the summer and being there for family night on Friday night. But that is going to be something that I'll be frank, is probably going to be announced later in June, maybe early June. We'll have some information on it. But at this point, because none of the youth camps in the state of Washington are actually operating at the moment, those answers haven't had firm responses from the state yet. So we'll definitely keep you in the loop on family night on Friday night. What are sleeping accommodations like for scouts and leaders? We have 3 kinds of housing for our campers at Fire Mountain. The first type is what we call an Adirondack. This is a large, well, it's a small cabin, but it's a large, very large garden shed. Very, very large. This is like the biggest garden shed you've ever seen. Not quite a barn, but a very large garden shed type of thing. And it's has an open face to it with a covered picnic table in front of every Adirondack, and it beds 8. And so the whole idea of an Adirondack is that an entire scout patrol can sleep in a single Adirondack. Accommodation type number 2 is what we call a stent. And a stent is a much smaller garden shed. I always see all of our buildings at Fire Mountain, for the most part, have green metal roofs on them. And so when I look at them, I instantly think garden shed for all of the buildings at camp. But the stents are, we have 2 kinds of stents, and this is the second and third types of our housing, is that we have what we call scout stents and they house 4 scouts. And then the last type is what we call a leader tent, and it houses 2. And every one of our campsites, be it a Adirondack campsite or a Scout tent campsite, come with 2 leader tents. And so theoretically, you could have 4 adults in specific adult housing, and then the scouts in the scout housing. Because of some of the numbers that you are all bringing to camp, some of the smaller troops, if we were a smaller troop, what are the chances we're sharing a campsite? That's exactly what I was about to talk about. So some of the smaller troops, we are going to be putting into a campsite with another small troop, in order to facilitate proper use of the facility and things like that. So that's the other bestest way to fit 250 people in comfortably, is by sharing campsites. If we purely restricted it to 1 troop, 1 campsite, regardless of the size of the unit, it would be a little hard. Is there space to set up tents? There is. It depends on the campsite. Some campsites, there's a ton of space. Chief Joseph campsite along the lake is one of our most grassy areas, and there's a lot of space for tents. Some of our campsites are in the cedar groves, and there's areas to definitely set up a few tents. And then others are in kind of further out along the road. It's a little harder, so it works with that. Is there space to set up hammocks? The answer is yes. We are blessed in the Pacific Northwest with a bazillion trees that are capable of holding even me up in a hammock. Can we sleep with our children? Per the Guide to Safe Scouting, the answer is no. In Scouts BSA, youth and adults may not sleep in the same, even with your own children. And this is for a variety of reasons, but one of the most critical ones is that your senior patrol leader has responsibilities, and by virtue your patrol leaders have responsibilities for checking on their scouts, oftentimes, entering a tent or anything around things like that to wake up scouts or talk to them, and things like that. And if they are sleeping with adults, that complicates things as far as youth protection. So the national BSA is that at Cub Scout age, scouts can still sleep with in their parents' tents or in their parents' Adirondacks, things like that. But in Scouts BSA programs, adults and youth, even parental with kids, don't sleep in the same space. Can we sleep? Let's see, there's space for hammocks. When will we know our group space? Stacy and I are getting together later in the month of May to start putting together formal campsite assignments. What we're waiting on right now, we've started working on it, and then I got about 13 phone calls asking to change the number of kids that were coming to camp. Some were going up, some were going down, and so we decided to just stop talking about campsites until after May 15th, when all of the payments were going to be in. So ideally, around the 1st of June, we will know what our campsite assignments for the summer should be looking like. That said, all campsite assignments are subject to change until you arrive at camp, because you never know what's going to happen. We have a troop coming from Hawaii. If Alaska Airlines decides to go on strike and they don't come, I might make changes to campsite assignments to make things more comfortable. Maybe I put them with one of you in a campsite, and I could move another small troop in there and things like that to make the week more comfortable for your scouts. So, but we will hopefully share that information as soon as possible.
Yes, there are flagpoles in every campsite, and if you need a flag, we will provide you a flag for that, for the use of your flagpoles.
So yes, there is a mountain biking program being planned for this summer at Fire Mountain. It is not in the program guide at this point because we actually don't know what it's going to look like yet. It is literally being built at earlier today, they had a Bobcat out working on the new mountain biking trail. We are having 2 mountain biking courses added to camp. Theoretically, both of them will be operational before the staff arrive at the end of June to do the finishing touches and get them up and running. We have bike parts on order, but if anyone has ordered anything from anyone in the last 3 months, you know that a lot of things are on back order. So some of our bike parts are on back order. They should be here before camp. So, but it is our intention to have a very exciting mountain biking activity program for your patrols and scouts to do under staff supervision at camp. What about kids and adults with disabilities as far as locational camp? So again, there's a form that we're asking from units to come back, I believe, at the end of June, so that we know what kind of needs your scouts have, so that we can make adjustments to campsites and things like that as needed. But the sooner you have those forms filled out, we will be taking those things into consideration. In addition to scouts with maybe handicap needs, things like that, we will also be looking at scout leaders that need CPAP machines or and might need electricity. We have a very few campsites that we can run an extension cord to, but they do exist, and so we'll try to work some of those type of things around. Let's see here. Do you encourage gateway decorating? So we can definitely work with you on gateway decorating. I will say that at the end of the week, we'll need to take down whatever gateway you put up. So there is no permanent changes to our campsites done by units during Scout Camp. So
flag retirement, that one comes under my head.
yeah.
So we will have flags available for you to retire. I do have a ceremony that I can provide to you, or if your troop has their own ceremonies. But yes, we will have some. We will not do it all camp.
No, we won't do it. Yeah, you like Joan says, we can definitely support you doing that in your campsite. Should we bring our own firewood? No. Do not bring your own firewood. We have so much firewood at camp, and no, we do not charge for firewood. We have several large caches of firewood throughout the camp, and you might need to use a wheelbarrow and move it to your campsite, but you will have all the firewood that you need to burn this summer. Fingers crossed on the note of burn bans and other issues. So just keep that in mind, that hopefully we will have a summer full of the smell of campfires, but we definitely have wood.
I love that smell. All right.
Okay. Okay, kind of got through a question section there. Let's see here. What do we? Okay, so I'm not necessarily going to throw the slides back up, but I do want to share. Actually, I am going to still throw this slide back up so that people can see. Not that one. That one, and I want to share screen. A couple of important future dates that I wanted to share. So the first one is hopefully all of you have plans to make your final payment by May 15th. And if there are any issues that you're having with that, please reach out to myself or most likely Stacy Roberts is who you really want to be in touch with because
don't call me.
Yeah, don't call Jolynn. I can fix probably about I'm getting better. I'm getting better at using the Black Book system and dealing with money in the system. So I can probably fix about half of the issues that come up with the system. But like I said, the other half I will end up having to defer to Stacy to help me fix. But final payments due May 15th. June 1st, we will have the sign up open for classes, as well as the how-to video on how to sign up for classes. And then June 22nd, I will be putting out by email, as well as posting on our websites and multiple places, all of the updates on the COVID-19 reporting forms that we are going to need. So the state has not put out their firm guidelines on what we're required to ask you. For example, they strongly encourage every camper to be vaccinated in order to attend camp. It is not required, but it's strongly encouraged. And there's upcoming changes in guidelines as far as having that information on it. So there's probably going to be some kind of form where we will ask you who's vaccinated, who's not vaccinated, for tracking purposes if we were to have a COVID outbreak in a campsite, things like that, so we would know what's going on, what does that look like, because the state does have different requirements about how I have to respond to a COVID outbreak. So for example, if a staff member reports being COVID positive or COVID symptoms and they test positive, we will have tests on site. So I have to go down column A. If they don't test positive, I go down column B, things like that. So I will have the full COVID-19 reporting and policies in place by June 22nd. And the state of Washington, by the way, I think is putting those out on June like 6th or something like that. It's early June that they're going to get those. So that'll give me a little bit of time to work with our risk management committee to put the forms together. A little bit of time, but that's an important date. And then on June 23rd or July 6th, we will have another pre-camp leaders meeting similar to this, where we'll answer questions, address concerns, talk about campsite selections and things like that, walk through some things. Again, we'll have firm answers on things like, can families come to the chicken flippin' dinner and some of those kind of things. And so we're looking forward to having another series of webinars. You do not need to come to both. You can certainly come to both, but we will have registration links.
I have to be at both.
You have to be at both. I have to be at both. The July 6th one, I'm hoping to have some of our staff join us in addition to just Jolene and I. So July 6th would be the one I would want to attend for you guys, but keep that in mind. Let's see here. We have some questions or comments coming in. Will merit badge sign up be lottery? So
Want me to answer that?
yes.
Okay, so it is going to be pretty much first come, first serve. The only one that I would question lottery is going to be COPE.
Okay. So
and we will probably work age down on that one.
Okay. And then will there be temperature checks every morning? Right now, the answer is no. The guidelines the state came out with do not call for that unless there are other symptoms showing. So if a kid were to say, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm chilled, I'm running I'm not feeling very good, things like that, we would conduct a temperature check. But the guidelines as they sit right now don't specifically state that we have to do those kind of tests on a basis. There is some pre-camp checks that they imply, and that's going to be part of those forms that I'll be putting out in June, so that you guys can share those with your families and just kind of get it. But they're much more along the lines, at least what the guidelines are currently looking like. They're more along the lines of what you see when you go into like your doctor's office, where they ask you a series of questions instead of saying, what was your temperature for the last 5 days? So so some of that. Let's see here. Will you need health forms ahead of time? No, we will collect the A, B, and C medical forms, as well as any COVID additional medical forms that we're requesting. We will collect those as part of the check-in when you arrive at camp on Sunday. Let's see here. No, it does not go into detail of what's being taught every day during Pathfinders. So none in the program guide, we don't have syllabuses outlined for any of the programs of what's being specifically taught for any of the classes on every single class period and things like that. So, but that said, what we will do is for Pathfinders is whatever whatever session they get dropped into, we will have staff that will be able to work with them on specific requirements that they need to meet. So the question came up about other than IOLS, what other adult leader training will there be? There are going to be a few opportunities that I'm looking at putting together. As far as formal BSA adult leader training, though, the short answer is probably not. And the reason why is the National Council, if you haven't noticed, has really started moving adult leader training online. This year, actually, they just came out with a new syllabus for Safe Swim Defense and Safety Afloat, which were 2 classes that we have traditionally done at camp. But we will not be offering again this year because the National Council actually told us they don't want us teaching at a camp anymore. They want you to go online and do those courses online. That said, I think there are some opportunities to offer some supplemental training, which means that it's not official certification training. So IOLS might be the only certificate you walk away with. But I as camp director, I really want you as a scout leader to grow as a scout leader during your time at camp. So I think there's going to be some opportunities for our commissioners to do some presentations and maybe some seminars with leaders in camp on different subjects to address questions. For example, if you take Safe Swim Defense Safety Afloat online and still have questions, Jolynn is a wizard of all things water related. And so having a seminar where we can ask and answer questions that relate to those official trainings. Again, you won't walk away with any certificate for spending 30 minutes with Jolynn talking about Safe Swim Defense, but having that opportunity for you, I think is something that we want to be able to provide. So the question is, if a scout only needs the overnighter for the Wilderness Survival Merit Badge, should they simply show up for the Thursday night session? So Stephen, I'm going to assume that this scout is at camp with you and isn't just driving up to Fire Mountain on a Thursday afternoon. Because those, I'm going to answer the question differently based on that piece of information. If they're in your troop and they have a partial and the only thing they have left is the overnighter, they can come and work with our merit badge counselor to join the class for the Thursday overnighter. Yes, they don't have to do the entire class over again to meet that. If they're just driving up Thursday night, no, we don't have drop-ins that just come out to camp during scout camp to meet a requirement like that. So yeah, they'll be all there all week. Okay, thank you, Stephen. So thanks for the clarification. So yeah, so okay. Hopefully he or she can get that marked off this summer.
I think we need to attack the last thing.
Oh, okay. Okay. So closing thoughts. We'll still address any more questions that you guys might post and whatnot, but the last item that Jolynn wanted me to make sure that I mentioned is in the last 2 weeks, we have lost a number of critical staff members for Fire Mountain. If any of you are employers in any field right now, you know how hard it is to find people for any job. You go into almost any business in America right now, and there's help wanted signs up, and there's a real struggle to fill the manpower vacuum that our country is facing right now. And youth serving camps are being particularly hit hard by this. One is because many youth serving camps, frankly, we're not the best paying job on the block. So if money is the name of the game, we're not the most competitive. But it is one of those things. By the same token, is that as we as a society come out of the COVID pandemic, many young people in particular are trying to figure out or restart their lives and where they're at. So a number of the folks that have committed to being at Fire Mountain this summer have either made choices to follow other opportunities for employment, or to choose to take the summer off and not be employed this summer. And so with those, we have a slew of positions open. And so especially for 21-year-olds and above, if there's anyone in your troop that would be interested in a job for the summer, we worked for 7 weeks at Fire Mountain, but we're looking for people in the shooting sports area. We're looking for people in the waterfront aquatics area, cope and climbing. Some of these areas we have staff and we can operate those programs at the moment without hiring anyone, but the quality of program will increase the more people we can hire. I will tell you that the Mountbaker Council Executive Board has given us a lot of leverage and a lot of ability to be competitive in pay in some areas. So if there's a pay needed, that's a conversation I can have with somebody. But if you know of anyone that's interested in being on staff and attending National Camp School and doing things like that to make for a better program at Fire Mountain this summer, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or to Jolynn and let us know that there might be someone interested. We are also still hiring youth staff. That has more to do with the fact that I think every scout should have the opportunity to be on camp staff at some point in their life, because for me and for Jolynn, this has been a life-changing experience. For our kids, for me personally when I was a youth, and so we really want that to be an experience for every kid. So if you have scouts in your troop, who maybe decided that they didn't want to go to camp with the troop this summer because they're too old and I've been to camp so many times and so on and so forth. I would challenge each and every one of them to test their mettle pulling a summer at a summer camp. And so
that being all said, I want to support what Sven said. As the program director, I have really put my heart and soul in really wanting to get back to where we were, especially with it being our 50th year. We want to make it memorable. We're getting back to normal as normal looks right now. But if we can't find the people, I'm going to literally have to start cutting program. And I don't want to do that. And so I'm imploring to you guys to help me out so I don't have to cut program. And again, this is not just a Fire Mountain thing. This is camp wide or worldwide. We're not the only one camp that's struggling this year, but I want to reach out to the adults here who know the benefits of this program and want to make it the program as best as it can be.
So let's see here. We've got a few more questions. So I saw that this was already answered in the chat bubble. What is COPE? Challenging outdoor personal experience. And yeah, so I will say with COPE so Joseph, you had asked what is COPE. So there's 3 levels of COPE. The first level is initiative games where they get to know everyone involved in their COPE experience. The second is low COPE, which is a series of elements where they have to overcome a barrier or an obstacle or figure out how to untie the Thebian knot, things like that, to as a group. And then the last experience, really the personal experience, is where we put you 30, 40 feet up in the air on the high COPE course, where you're roped in, again, overcoming certain obstacles and things like that. And the group down below that you've gotten to know and whatnot is cheering you on, coaching you, encouraging you to overcome these obstacles. And so that's what COPE is in a nutshell.
If you want me to tackle that one.
So I'll let Jolynn talk about is there anything that female troops need to be aware of? There's one thing I wanted to throw out on in addition. I've gotten a couple of questions, and I apologize, Tiffany, if you're one of the ones that I spoke to, but I have gotten this question a couple of times as far as dress code at camp. There's some concern from scout leaders of our girl Scout BSA units on what dress code is and what that looks like and things like that. Name of the game is, if you think it's a bad idea, it's probably a bad idea. And so I will tell you, this is what I've told me, is that we do have female staff that work on our waterfront and things like that, and they wear a one-piece full swimming suit with trunks as part of their uniform on the waterfront. They're also issued special lifeguard t-shirts that they wear and things like that. They're easy to strip off if they have to do a rescue, things like that. But it's one of those things is, remember that the Boy Scouts of America is a uniformed organization at every level of our program, Cub Scouts through Sea Scouts and venturing. And so in the context of Scouts BSA, use the uniform guide as a good meter stick of what a good dress code for your unit should look like, is following that as closely as possible.
So also just to touch on that, and this is for everyone, all of our bathrooms and showers are single use only. So on the swim beach, all the dressing rooms are single use. There's no open area changing. One person goes into the shower, one person comes out of the shower. So yeah.
Let's see here. Let's see here. Can a scout come up for a partial week? So the short answer, Greg, is yes. But the second part of your question is, what would the cost be for 3 days? We don't adjust cost. So they're going to pay for a full week of camp, even if they're only coming up for 3 days. So that's probably not, for a lot of scouts, a good cost benefit analysis for them, but that's a choice that they can make if they want to come up. So like I said, we don't break apart for partial weeks and things like that. So we will be emailing out any changes I make to the program guide. I will not be emailing out the guide. What I will do is email out a notice that the guide has been updated with a link to where it is living on the website for registration. So like I said, I won't just, it's 5 megabytes as a thing. And so just instead of hitting you with a 5 megabyte file every couple of weeks as I find spelling corrections or updating the prerequisites or what partial merit badges are and things like that. I'll just update it on the website and let you guys know to go and check it. So is there a link or a pamphlet available about the open camp paid positions? What's needed, pay and age requirements? So the short answer is there is not right now, but there will be before the end of the week. I'm going to be putting together a page that will be off of the Fire Mountain page on our council website that will list all of our open positions at Fire Mountain for this summer with any prerequisites or requirements for those paid positions, as well as our base salary for each of those positions.
I think up there was yes, the 16-year-old.
Yes, 16-year-olds can still apply to work at camp. So if you have a 16-year-old that's interested in working at camp this summer, there is a link to the staff application on the website right now, so they can go and fill that out and set up probably at this point a Zoom interview with Jolynn and I to have a conversation about where at camp they would like to work and have that conversation. Are we able to change our preferred / ranked campsites prior to the May 15th payment date? I don't know if you can do that in the system. I think you can go in and change that. Almost everything in the registration portal at this point is editable. So you can go in and you can edit it at this point. But if that turns out to not be the case, shoot Stacy and I an email and we'll go in and force the change and make sure that your campsite preferences are listed in there. That's all I'm seeing in the question bubble at the moment.
I think you should show me your background that we tried to do.
Okay. I was trying to be really cute and funny and whatnot earlier. I thought this was going to be pretty slick, putting us in front of the admin building, and
just
for whatever reason, I just disappeared. Which is what every good camp director should do, right? Is just disappear into the background and let their program director have a lot of fun. So,
all right.
Well, it is 8:02. We've been on for an hour and a half, and I really appreciate all of the time that you guys give to the scouting movement and making camp great just by coming. You know, one of the things you'll hear from me probably during my closing comments during my camp director's minute in the closing campfire is Fire Mountain is our home. It's the home of the outdoor program for the Mount Baker Council. And one of the things that you will hear regularly from our staff is welcome home, because we want it to be your home as well. But with that said, it is not the home of the scouting movement. The home of scouting is in church basements and American Legion halls. It's in random cabins that have been passed down through the years from troops or any number of things. It's in den meetings that take place around kitchen tables. That's where scouting lives, because you carry the torch every week to your scout meeting, to patrol meetings, to PLCs, to OA of work party weekends, so on and so forth. And while Fire Mountain is definitely a special place to us, and we hope that to make it a special place for you this summer, and always a home for your scouts to return to, I know that what you do for your scouts week after week is what ultimately changes their lives.
I want to go home.
So I'm ready to go home, not unfortunately tonight to Fire Mountain, but to my family. I hope that you all
go back to Fire Mountain.
I will be at Fire Mountain tomorrow and over the weekend. I look forward to seeing hopefully many of you out at Fire Mountain in the coming weeks as we do our Scout BSA Camporee here later in May. We have almost 500 scouts and scouters attending at the moment. We have family camp program over Memorial Day weekend. We have our OA induction weekend in June, and then our 50th anniversary rededication ceremony on June 18th. And so those are just some of the programs that we're doing between now and when staff report on June 24th. But if there's anything that Jolynn or I can help you with to gear up for camp this summer, we are, like I said, super thrilled to have you coming home to Fire Mountain this summer.
Make sure you check out the websites for those family opportunities, especially like the dedication or family camps, and come out and enjoy it. We are, I think our biggest push that we would like to, make out is we are no longer just a summer camp. We are all year. And Sven has been amazing by getting program directors like me, but also program directors that will be up all year round. And so program is being held all year round now. So make sure you take those opportunities and join us up there, because it's amazing. It's an amazing place to be.
All right, the recording of this webinar is going to also be added to our camp website based off the Mount Baker Council website. So I encourage you to take a look at that. Again, check out the Leaders Guide that's posted at the moment. It has all of our merit badge offerings for this summer, as well as other programs that we're doing. I'm sure there are spelling, grammar, and other inaccuracies.
Should we tell them?
Fire Mountain is unfortunately being run by 2 dyslexics. So
true dyslexic. True. We have paperwork to prove it.
So, but with that, as we get those updated and changed, the Leaders Guide will be corrected and updated as well. But take a look at it now. Share it with your family. Share it with your scouts. I know that Jolynn and I are spending a lot of time thinking and dreaming about this summer, and I hope you guys are as well. So with that, good night, Scouts and Scouters, and we look forward to seeing you up on the mountain. Good night.